What happened was...
Hey friends, it's so nice to see you. It's today, the time is now. You are here and the weather is outside your window.
Zach Valentine.
How's it going?
Good. Do you like my costume?
It's interesting. We didn't really talk about the new show that you're in, so I might need some context on it to appreciate it.
I'll tell you all about it. I play the witch in the world's premiere of Edward Tulane at Minnesota Opera. We're opening this Saturday. And so it's a great way to kick off spooky season, which is your favorite, my favorite. Here we go. And so, yeah, let the games begin. And of course, you are a horror film aficionado, fan, and director, recently award-winning director for your new film, Knock, which we have a special treat a little later in the episode. But I wanted to bring you on to talk all things horror films and films that you should watch in the month of October for spooky season. So hit us with your top 10 list for spooky season movies.
Okay, so my top 10 list consists of a lot of full-on horror movies, but also comedy, psychological thrillers. So it's a whole variety. So it's not just one specific kind of movie.
Something for everyone.
Something for everybody. Then the first one that we have is Beetlejuice from 1988. Tim Burton, dark comedy, Catherine O'Hara, Winona Ryder, the entire cast of that movie is just fantastic. And of course you have the famous scene at the dinner table, which is great. Which also Beetlejuice got turned into a musical as well, which I highly enjoyed. A lot of fun. So that's obviously on the list. The second one I have on the list is called Hide and Seek from 2005. It stars Robert De Niro and Dakota Fanning. A very atmospheric.
I don't know that one.
So it's a very atmospheric psychological thriller. And it's about Dakota Fanning. It plays Robert De Niro's daughter, and he just lost his wife recently, and they decided to move to upstate New York, where I am not originally from, but I went to college. I was there for 6 years. Really beautiful place. And Dakota Fanning's character gets this new imaginary friend named Charlie, and some interesting, weird stuff starts happening. So there's a nice little twist in the end. It's fun. The next one on my list is Trick or Treat from 2007, which is an anthology movie. So there's about 4 different storylines that play throughout the movie that in the end they all connect and intertwine with one another. It's very atmospheric. All of this, the entire movie takes place on the night of Halloween. And it's just a fun movie. It's rated R. There's some blood in there. There is some dark humor to it as well. But it's one that I find myself watching over and over again every year for the month of October. So
cool.
Yeah, love that one. This next one on the list is for all you theater people out there. Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, classic.
Because Tim Curry.
So fun.
Yeah, Tim Curry, amazing. The Time Warp, phenomenal.
The best. Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon, God, love her so much. So I figured that, although not a, there's a storm, there's a castle,
it belongs on the list.
It definitely fits in the category.
Yes.
After that, we have one that probably isn't as well known. It's called The Houses October Built. It came out in 2014, and it's about a group of friends that take a road trip to find the most extreme haunted house.
Yes.
And for me personally, because I love the month of October and haunted houses obviously are included in that, it really walks the line of when you're going through a haunted house, what is real and what is fake. So there's been interviews with people at haunted houses where the people that run them are asked oh, do you run background checks on some of your scare actors? And some places don't. So it's very what are you walking into when you go to a haunted house that's maybe off the beaten path, you know, depending on where you're at. And so eventually the haunt finds them, and they start seeing like characters from, or other actors from other previous haunted houses that they've gone to that are maybe following them.
Ooh.
So it's a good little eerie movie that I really enjoy. Next up is one that everyone at least knows about. I'm sure there's a lot of people that haven't seen it, but 1973's The Exorcist.
Oh yes.
Yes. I actually
a classic. Terrifying.
Yes, classic. For those of you that don't know, it's actually based off of a book, and I read the book last year, and the book is just as good as the movie, if not better, like books usually tend to be. But yeah, I mean, the music is recognizable, and also we have a new trilogy of movies that are going to branch off of the original that I think they're going into production for it next year, I think.
Wow, cool.
So yeah, so that's really exciting. I'm curious about how they're actually going to do it, because it's just interesting. But yeah, classic. Next up is 1992's Death Becomes Her.
Oh, fabulous movie.
Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis, it's just awesome.
Great.
I loved looking up, because I was like, how do I explain this movie? If someone were to ask me, like, oh, just give me like a 1-sentence summary. And dark comedy about two narcissists that discover a potion that will make them young forever.
Yeah, I like it.
That's that's essentially what it is.
Yes.
Hysterical movie. I could watch.
Yes.
I mean, that you can watch any time of the year, but
yes.
I absolutely love it. Getting to the bottom three, Night of the Living Dead from 1968. George Romero's
great one.
Zombie classic.
Yes.
The atmosphere, the cinematography, like all of like the canted angles, like it just, there's something uneasy about it, even though it is a movie from 1968. That it just still works today.
That's great.
And it's, you know, there's obviously a lot of like movies and stuff out there try to capture what that movie captured, but there's just something they can't get right about it, and I don't know exactly what it is yet.
Right.
Yeah, so zombie classic. Next up
Top
two. 1978's Halloween. It's Jamie Lee Curtis, you know, the John Carpenter, like the music is just as recognizable to people as the Exorcist music. Like you hear it and you just know what it's from. And
terrific.
I love when people say that, like, oh, it's, you know, the scariest horror movie, and, you know, A, B, C, and D. And what's funny about it is that there's not really a lot of blood in it, like, at all.
Right.
So, I mean, like, when you think of Halloween and Michael Myers with a knife, you typically think, like, oh, it's going to be gory and whatnot. But it's not. It's actually a really well done, atmospheric, very suspense-driven movie. Because when I first watched it, I was like, there's not a lot of killing happening in this. And I started to appreciate, like, the suspense and everything.
Yeah.
Which we have just like The Exorcist, we got a whole new Halloween trilogy that branches off of the original. And there's Halloween from 2018, Halloween Kills from last year, and October 14th. So this month, we have Halloween Ends. Which is going to supposedly, because they've said this many a time, supposedly be the last movie where it's Jamie Lee Curtis where it's Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode facing off against Michael Myers. They've done that a couple times in the past, though.
Okay.
Now this last movie, number
one is
1999's The Blair Witch Project.
Oh, that's a great one. I'm really impressed with that choice.
The reason why that is my number one movie is because that is the only movie to genuinely unnerve me and scare me no matter how many times I watch it. Because there's just something about, like, a lot of people like say the acting is horrible.
Yeah.
It feels real.
Yeah.
It feels real.
It's quite good and very scary. That's a great number one. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Well, fantastic. Speaking of being unnerved, we are now going to have the Dallas Opera Network premiere of your film, award-winning film, Knock. Tell us about it.
So Knock is about, it takes place one evening. This man is home alone in his apartment, and he gets a knock at his door, and we don't know if it's a person, if it's an entity, but things escalate in the runtime of 3 minutes and 22 seconds. And so I shot it all by myself, never had any help with any of it other than the music.
And it's played several festivals and is winning awards, and it's so exciting to see your work out there and hitting these festivals. So without further ado, the Dallas Opera Network premiere of Zach Valentine's Knock. That's all for today's episode. Puppies and rainbows till we meet again.